Have you been feeling like you're not living up to your potential? Or are you just feeling extremely unmotivated or just lost your passion for the things that you're normally passionate about? Because, hey, me too. I feel like sometimes we get to this point where we're just sick of our own circumstances because we realize that where we've gotten or the point we're in right now does not serve us. We realize that we never want to return to the point we're in right now and that we're meant for something better than what we're living through right now. But what we need to realize in these moments is that we should be proud of ourselves for realizing that we are at rock bottom and that it can only improve from here. We can only grow in the darkest periods of our life, and we should be kind of thankful for this opportunity to finally realize our strength and work on our weaknesses in these periods of our life. Because no matter how hard it sounds, we truly only grow through our weaknesses. You can't control what happens to you. Bad things happen to everyone. But what you can control is how you react to these things. In these moments where you feel like giving up, realize that you are the only person who is in control of how you respond to things in life. Are you really going to let this one negative thing ruin the experiences you have in the future? And if you believe in God like I do, I want you to realize this. You only see the present moment through your subjective reality, but God sees your entire life. You don't know if some of the things you're experiencing right now are going to be the biggest blessings either for yourself or to help other people. For example, if I wouldn't have gone through all the experiences I had at my age, I would never be able to talk to you guys about all of this. Start seeing everything as a blessing and adapt this warrior mindset rather than having the victim mentality. Life is not happening to you, it is happening for you. And when you take your power back to focus on the solution rather than the problem, you're not only going to be more successful, but much happier and more confident. So rather than focusing on a problem like I have for a long time, that is just going to drag you down even further, we need to understand the problem first and work on our belief system. I love this quote from Einstein that says that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Because rock bottom doesn't come all of a sudden, it creeps in slowly. It is a sign that our habits or belief system or our life and how we have it set up currently is just not serving us. And no matter how many months you keep going and try to bend yourself around these obligations you have, you're going to end up with this lack of motivation, drive, and passion. Because most of the times we have been unhappy or just coasting through life as an observer rather than the main character. We have been ignoring our needs, slacking in our self-care. If then something happens, like a breakup, or we failed something that has been holding up our identity or has been the only point of comfort we had, we crumble and we find ourselves at this low point or rock bottom. For me personally, I was always the smart kid in school. I always did pretty well in school, but when I got rejected by my favorite university, this part of my identity, the being smart, kind of died, as if some part of my identity died with the rejection from that university. Identifying specifically what is making you feel this lack of motivation, drive, and passion is important to understand the root of your issue. Like mine was to see the rejection from my favorite university as evidence that I was not smart enough or even making being smart a core part of my identity. Hence, we need to understand, and I mean fully understand, why we are at this point. I know that we don't want to deal with the potential disappointment or recent failure, like we rather want to avoid it. But if we don't understand our problem, we're just going to fall into the same pattern again and again in a few days, weeks, or months, or if we encounter the same struggle again, which is going to happen in life. However, the point is to understand the root of our slump and not just to move on and without analyzing our mistakes. So instead of saying I was simply not intelligent enough to get into my favorite university, I had to analyze, why did this happen? What did I do wrong in my preparation? And how could I even change my personal belief system in order to get into university next time? After thinking about all these questions, I realized that I needed to change how I study and how I plan out my study sessions specifically, and more importantly, that I needed to change my belief system. Because there are two kinds of mindsets. There is the fixed mindset, in which we think that we can't improve and our growth is just kind of stationary. And then there's the growth mindset, which sees everything as a journey in which we constantly improve while we're getting closer to our goal. And this growth mindset can be applied to anything. Your boyfriend dumped you? Well, there's someone better waiting for you, and this was just God's way of showing you that he wasn't meant for you. You got rejected by your dream university? Well, maybe God is just trying to direct you in a different direction. It might be a different uni, a different course, or maybe even a job opportunity that is better than the university course you chose. At every step of our way, we're learning and improving, and hence, every obstacle that we encounter is just for us to learn something about ourselves and how we can turn our weaknesses into our strengths. We should not be giving these negative things that drag us down so much power, because in the end of the day, you are the only one living your life. And why not choose to live your life with the knowing that everything is always working out for you and God always has your back. Now that you know why you got to this point, I want you to take a piece of paper, or even better if you have a journal, open up a new page, and at the top of the page I want you to write down the reason why you're in this slump. Below that, I want you to write down everything you're unhappy with, because we need to get clear on what is bothering you in this moment. A lot of the times when I'm feeling down, I have all these thoughts and feelings in my head, and all these habits, people, and just everything that I'm unhappy with is racing through my mind. But we need to get it out on paper, because it is nice knowing what we don't like about our behavior or environment, but we need to develop from that by changing these things. You can't expect your life to change if you're not changing. Because a lot of times we want something, but we're not putting in the effort it requires to actually become that person. You need to change and wire yourself into the person you want to become. Otherwise, you will keep daydreaming about a potential future that is never going to be yours if you're not putting in the action. For example, if you're struggling with your self-image, write down exactly what you're struggling with, because self-image includes multiple things. Are you insecure about your looks, how you approach people in social situations, or just generally your confidence? I find that especially with your own self-image, it comes down to the idea of what you think about yourself. You need to become so incredibly delusional. Trust me, I had to learn this as well. I was so incredibly insecure about my looks in school because I was the only not white girl in my school with curly hair. Although I should see it as like something that makes me stand out and just unique from everyone else, it made me incredibly insecure because humans, and especially children, try to find similarities between one another as we all want to fit in. We all want to be part of a big group and share the same features, and this even comes down to our looks. And I was comparing my curly hair to the other girls' straight hair and my non-white skin to their white skin. And I just felt like I did not have what they had at all, which made me ultimately ugly. But a few years ago, I learned that I don't care how pretty a girl standing next to me is, because I know that I am 1 in a billion and that I am absolutely gorgeous. You need to get out of this lack mindset of, if I'm standing next to a pretty girl, I'm going to look uglier. No, that's absolutely not the case. I want you to imagine you're walking through the city and you see 2 absolutely gorgeous girls. Is one suddenly uglier than the other? Absolutely not. Because the other people can't take away from your beauty. It's not like the moment you stand next to an attractive person, your beauty suddenly halves. The only thing that is decreasing is your own self-confidence. Because be honest, When you're standing next to an attractive person, you get all insecure, and that's what makes you unattractive to the world. So we need to work on your mindset. And we can do this by journaling to identify your specific problem. Are you insecure in your own worth and beauty? Or do you secretly believe that your beauty can be taken away by more attractive people around you? And when you have answered these questions, I want you to say these 5 affirmations every morning in front of the mirror. I feel confident every second of the day. I am a gift and I deserve to be treated as such. My skin is radiant and healthy. I am the definition of beauty. My beauty is out of this world. If you're struggling with self-image, I want you to repeat these affirmations every morning when you're looking into the mirror. And the same thing goes with any other thing you're struggling with. Search up affirmations on YouTube or Pinterest and repeat them for 21 days to rewire your brain, and you will feel better. This doesn't come instantly, but it slowly rewires thought pattern and will make you feel more secure in yourself. And one thing we can't forget is how important it is, especially in moments where you feel down, to use gratitude. I was in this position a few weeks ago, and I was telling my mom all about the things that went wrong for like 20 minutes, and she didn't say a single thing. And when I was done, I looked at her and I was like, you didn't even say anything to the things I have been telling you. And my mom just responded saying, you haven't even thanked God for anything in a minute of you telling me your problems. And in that moment, I was so incredibly annoyed. And I told her, like, how am I going to be thankful for anything if I have nothing going well for me? And she was like, you need to be thankful for even to be alive. You know how many people go to bed and don't wake up? And I know for some of you hearing this right now, you might react like me in that moment, being annoyed and saying, but how can I show gratitude if I'm not even grateful for anything? But hear me out. Looking back at the situation now, a few weeks later, I see her point, and I understand that I was actually being ungrateful. Because there's always something to be grateful about. Even in your darkest moments, you can find at least one thing you are grateful for. It might be to be alive, to breathe fresh air, to be healthy, to have family around you. Because we only realize how much we need something, or that we actually truly value something, if we have lost it. For example, we take our health for granted, but when we're actually sick, we constantly think about how it was being healthy and the things we could do. So be grateful for what you have right now, even if it is the most simplest things in your eyes. In somebody else's eyes, the things that you see as simple and minute things are just exactly what they want. Now we have done all the preparation and formed the foundation, we can get started with building our dream. I want you to create a section on your Pinterest called My Life and save every single picture exactly matching your ideal version of yourself. I want you to think about the day-to-day activities, your ideal job, your clothing style, your lifestyle, your friendships, and your ideal partner. Save every picture that reflects exactly what you want out of your life. While you're doing that, I want you to write short affirmation style sentences on a document. Like, I'm working as a well-skilled doctor in Paris. I'm living in a big apartment in Paris. And get as specific as you want. This allows you to exactly see who you want to be and how you envision your life to be like. Because sometimes we have some rough points of how we want our life to go, but we don't have a clear image. And I don't care how big or crazy your dreams are. If you want to be the president, write it down. And search up pictures that are going to reflect that. I hate the people who always say, you need to be more realistic in life. And trust me, I have had so many people telling me that I can't be a doctor, that I won't get into medical school so many times. I remember when I was doing one of my first internships at an orthopedics clinic, there was only one female doctor and the other 4 or 5 doctors, they were male doctors. And I was sitting there with the nurses, they were having break and I was sitting there with them. And they were asking me like, oh, which specialty do you like or do you want to get into? And I was like, I really like orthopedics and I'm really enjoying what I've seen so far at my internship. And the nurse there had the audacity to tell me that orthopedics for me as a woman would be too hard and I should rather specialize in something like family medicine. And I was so shocked. I was so angry in that moment. But specifically for people like these, instead of getting angry or annoyed or start doubting yourself, you should instead feel sorry for them because they have such a small-minded mindset that they will never and can never achieve big things in life because they are limiting their own capabilities and try to project their own insecurities onto you. There is nothing wrong with your dream, just their limited mindset. And hence, don't change your dream because somebody else doesn't believe in it, but rather distance yourself from small-minded people. Thank God for giving you one more opportunity to show that nothing is impossible as long as you're committed to it. However, it's not enough to just think about your dream life. We need to find habits from our affirmations list that are going to get us where we want to be. So it's not enough to dream about being this doctor that is able to help so many patients or luxury lifestyle that you want to live. How are you going to get there? How can you put these goals into habits that are going to allow you to reach that dream? For example, if you dream of having a healthy lifestyle, how can you make this a habit in your daily routine? You might want to limit the amount of alcohol you consume if you're of legal drinking age, or cut out all sugary, salty or fatty snacks and replace them with healthy alternatives. You might want to incorporate the gym in your routine or some other form of exercise, but make your habits you do day to day or in a week a reflection of your goals. Because if you're already being the person you want to be in the future by thinking and acting the same way your ideal self would, it is inevitable for you to reach your goals and become that ideal version of yourself. And that not only includes your habits, but you need to think about what you consume and the people your higher self, your ideal self, surrounds yourself with. Are you going to put up with your friend who you know your ideal self wouldn't even give attention to? Or are you going to watch stupid videos and listen to stupid podcasts talking about drinking and partying when you want to be a successful business owner in a few years? And I'm really talking to myself when I'm saying this because sometimes you think like, it's just whatever, it's just a video or just a podcast episode. But your day-to-day actions heavily influence your habits. Because you've probably heard this quote of, watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. And watch your character, they become your destiny. And this just highlights how important it is to focus on your mindset, which arises from your inner dialogue. And this inner dialogue arises through the things you consume, the people you surround yourself with. But if you just change your inner dialogue by curating an amazing environment of supportive people and only consuming the things that elevate you, you will get further in life and you're going to be so much ahead of everyone else. And you will get closer to the ideal version of yourself. I want to mention that although by the end of the episode you might feel very motivated to set up a nice calendar with 50 new habits and incorporate them all into your daily routine tomorrow. But that's not how it is going to work. I love this quote from Ego is the Enemy, which says that we will learn that though we think big, we must act and live small in order to accomplish what we seek. Obviously, when I first got into self-improvement 2 years ago, I wanted to do everything. Meditation, going to the gym, cold showers, journaling, breathwork, everything. But have you ever seen these videos of a few productivity YouTubers that try out the billionaire morning routine for a week and then they just kind of move on with their life without gaining anything from it? You can't expect to change your life around in 2 minutes, become super productive all of a sudden. Just like you couldn't ride a bike in the first moment you sat on it. It required practice for you to ride a bike without falling over. And these habits require practice all over again. So if you have written down the habits that align with the goals of your future self, start small. If it is exercise and you desperately want to go to the gym, start setting yourself a mini goal of going to the gym 2 times per week for 30 minutes. That's it. If you have been consistent with that, you can build it up until you have found the perfect time, length, and days for your gym sessions. If you want to start meditating, start with a 2-minute guided meditation in the morning and level it up progressively. The most important thing is not to listen to other people on social media talking about all the habits and things they do on their day-to-day basis, because you're only starting now. Don't compare yourself to somebody who has been on a 3-year fitness journey already, but who you were yesterday, and start building from your starting point, not what social media believes is your starting point.